Hey, hi, hello, it's me, Michael Kosta. It is Monday, March 23rd. This is the Tennis Anyone podcast. This is my dog, Walter. That's my book, Lucky Loser. That's an old Mustang tennis racket. I don't know. Wilson Mustang. Crazy to think how much the sport has evolved, right? I wasn't here last week because I'll get into it, but I just wasn't able to do the pod. My apologies. I brought all my podcast equipment with me to Oakland, California. It just did not happen. Sometimes that happens, and my apologies. But maybe this podcast will be twice as good because last week didn't exist, and maybe you'll love it even more. Do you feel that kind of, those in the creative space, because the scroll never ends, the podcast scroll, the Instagram scroll, the TikTok scroll, probably it also attributes to the Daily Show never ending. It just, God forbid it ever ends. I hope it never does. But it's just like meaning the cycle of the show. There's a show tomorrow. There's a show tomorrow. There's a show tomorrow. Sometimes you have to end it. Sometimes you have to say, I'm not doing a podcast this week. I'm not doing it. Oh, I forgot to put my do not disturb on. I was just getting going too. I was using my hands. So that's something that, look, I was just in Austin performing at MotherShip. We'll get into it. I was in Oakland doing a field piece for the Daily Show. Everywhere I go, everyone I speak to, both friends, producers at the Daily Show, comedians at MotherShip, tennis friends who live in Austin, friends from Michigan, every single person I speak to tells me and reiterates to me the same things. I feel that the onus of the world is falling on my shoulders. I'm tired of tipping everybody at a coffee shop, even though I know they're paid like shit. Why is this responsibility falling on me? Why is the responsibility falling on me for my kids' safety? It just feels like we as the individual are responsible for so much more, and it's exhausting. There is such a high level of uncertainty, and uncertainty is tough. I mean, just a basic healthy conversation with my friend back in Michigan about AI is terrifying. His job, my job, what his kids are going to college. What do you even tell a kid going to college right now what to study? I mean, the only thing that I can really think of is either become an influencer, which sucks because the scroll never ends and your personal life is not your personal life. It's all everyone else's lives. And just quickly as they build you up, they break you down for a variety of reasons. I'm somewhere in this. Am I an influencer? Am I not? Thank God I do stand-up comedy or have found comedy, and I can sell a few tickets and at least pay the bills. But I feel like this job, the stand-up comedy job, is bleeding into this influencer job where you have to do a podcast in your bedroom and showcase your dog. Hospitality, hotels, even though more and more hotels have a fucking robot that checks you in, or at least some version of that, a kiosk. But service, restaurants, I feel like that's still a forward-facing thing. The trades, I've been saying the joke on stage that I want my daughters to have a job that you need immediately. You call somebody, holy shit, we need a plumber now. Get the sisters. Plumbing, carpentry, welding, electricity, electrician. I just feel like all of these white-collar jobs, my friends who are lawyers are like, 10 years. I mean, also, here's the other thing. I am not using AI. You don't have to use AI either. It's okay if you don't use it. You don't. Every time we use it, we feed it. You're feeding it. You're feeding it. You're feeding it. You're feeding it. I probably shouldn't say I don't use it. I certainly do a Google search, and that uses AI. But what I'm saying is I don't subscribe to the chat bots. You know, I'm not saying I'm a hero. I'm saying just so you people know who are using it to make travel plans and cook dinner and legal advice, you know, you can still not use it, even though they want you to and they push it, just so you know. And no, I know. I'm a hero. So, you know, another example of what I'm talking about. I'm traveling to Austin and back, and TSA is not even getting paid. These fucking people aren't even getting paid, and they're at work. The onus is on them, right? They have to do the right thing. The NYU professors are about to strike today. You know, and just all of these things compounded because of COVID, and people put their head down and did the right thing during COVID. The nursing strike. It's like, how shitty did we treat nurses and medical staff during COVID? We put them in harm's way or just expect them to show up. Well, now it's been a few years and people want to get their money. It just, everything, it feels, it feels uncertain. We're in a war that we don't want. Why are we in Iran? Why are we bombing a country that controls the Strait of Hormuz? No one wants war. There's so much stuff in this country that needs fixing, from healthcare to guns to children's education to what AI is going to do to our jobs. Can you imagine if the administration was taking the money that we're taking for bombing Iran and putting it into whatever the next thing is after AI, like teaching all of us how to do the next skill? Crazy times. I know people find comfort and solace in hearing people share that we feel that way also. It would be excellent to not talk about Donald Trump all the time, but as the leader of the free world, what he's doing, it's like, shit, people have to speak out. And we'll get more into this in a second. Indian Wells happened. Yannick Sinner beat Medvedev in straight sets, 6-6. That was last week. I think probably for me, the big result was that Medvedev beat Alcaraz in the semifinal. Miami's happening right now. Men's round of 16 is already set up. Well, no, it's not. It's about halfway down. I mean, who is this qualifier from Spain playing Sebastian Corda in the round of 16? M. Landeluce. He's ranked 151 in the world. He is young. He looks young. Young. 20 years old, from Spain, right-handed, two-handed backhand. Beat Hachinov. That's kind of the big result. Lehechka, Fritz, Echeverry, Tommy Paul, Vachereau, Fils. That's just the top half of the round of 16. On the women's side, Sabalenka, Zhang, Baptiste, Ostapenko, Rybakina, Gibson, Pegula upcoming versus Jacqueline Christian from, is that Romania? Kosta crushes this every time. Anisimova versus Bencic, Kirstea versus Coco Gauff, who needed a result here. This is round of 16. Andreeva versus Mboko, who's now 10 in the world. Wow. Muchova and Iala are playing now. Muchova won the first set 6-0. Muchova is just one of those players who, let's look at the rankings right now for women, actually. I'm kind of curious about this. Aryna Sabalenka is number 1 in the world. Elena Rybakina is number 2 in the world. That's got to be her highest, right? And keep in mind, Sabalenka beat Rybakina Indian Wells final, which was a revenge match because of Australia. That was a great match. 7-6 in the third in the final. Iga Swiatek is 3, Coco Gauff 4. Jessica Pegula 5, very close to Coco Gauff as far as points are concerned. Anna Samova 6, Paulini 7, Svitolina 8, Umboko 9, Andreeva 10. Wow. Men, you're kind of not going to be surprised. Carlos Alcaraz still has 13,500 points. Yannick Sinner, who gained 1,000 from Indian Wells, is still second with 11,400 points. Novak Djokovic is 3 in the world with half the amount of points of Yannick Sinner. So big drop off between 2 and 3. Novak Djokovic is still, at age 38, 3 in the world. Zverev 4, Musetti 5. Lorenzo Musetti, 24 years old. Still seems so young to me. Alex de Minaur 6. Taylor Fritz 7, 28 years old. Felix 8. That's nice to see him back in the top 10. 25 years old. Ben Shelton 9. Daniil Medvedev went up 1 spot, making the finals of Indian Wells. That sucks. You make finals of Indian Wells, you beat Carlos Alcaraz, number 1 player in the world, and you go 1 spot up. Number 10, Bubik 11. So yeah, keep posted on that. Miami, been to Indian Wells. Miami's it's strange. You're far away from the city of Miami. I always thought it was strange. James Blake was the tournament director for some reason. I think he lives in Southern California. It just doesn't have the vibe. I know it's Miami, but you're like 45 minutes from Miami. When I did the Tennis Channel stuff there, it would sometimes take me an hour to get back to the hotel. And you feel. I would be back at the hotel, and at dinner I would see all the players. So they were all staying down there too, because it's Miami. You want to stay down in the cool spot, but the courts are nowhere near. It's not. It's nowhere near. I much prefer Indian Wells, as many of you know. I have a lot of Austin stuff to talk about, but before I do that, last week I was in Oakland shooting this piece for The Daily Show, and all these pieces always open my eyes to a lot of stuff. They change. I say they change me. Each field piece changes me a little bit. By the way, you can find all field pieces on YouTube. It is not organized in a good way. You just have to punch in, like, I would love it if you just said Michael Kosta field piece. That is not it. It's hidden somewhere in the Daily Show's page. That's actually a good note. Why don't we have our field pieces organized? That would be really good. Let me make that note. Good job. Thanks, Tennis Anyone listeners. We'll start with this. This is on EPA's website, epa.gov. Keep in mind, the EPA has probably never been in a worse position in its life ever because of the current administration. This was the press release that went out April 15th, 2025, so about a year ago. EPA demands answers from unregulated geo-engineering startup launching sulfur dioxide into the air. Okay? This fucking thing. The EPA's Office of Air and Radiation submitted a demand for information to a startup company calling themselves Make Sunsets, which is launching balloons filled with sulfur dioxide, SO2, seeking to geo-engineer the planet and generate cooling credits to sell. This is true. This issue was initially identified in 2023 during the last administration, but no action was taken to find out more about this questionable startup activity. They had to put that in. That's like the classic, anything under Trump, they always go, Biden. The idea that individuals supported by venture capitalists are putting criteria air pollutants into the air to sell cooling credits shows how climate extremism has overtaken common sense, said EPA Administrator Zeldin. Based on Make Sunset's responses to our information requests, we will look at all the authorities to ensure that we can maintain clean air for all Americans. Oh, fuck you guys. I mean, awesome if you care that Make Sunsets is launching balloons of sulfur dioxide into the air. Good. You should look into that. That is your job. How about looking into all other air pollutants? Why am I spraying sunblock on where 98% of the product goes into the air? Why are those spray sunscreens allowed? It is unbelievable that we as Americans do not think more about the environment. It blows my fucking mind. And you can't blame the consumer. Again, the onus is on us too much, because when you go to the store to buy the thing, the thing that's there you think is safe and you buy it. We should not be spraying sunblock on us where it all just goes into the air. Forever chemicals, aerosols, all that shit. Make Sunsets is already, this is back to the press release. Make Sunsets is already banned in Mexico. Their website states they want to scale this activity significantly and have already conducted over 124 deployments. So we did a deployment on screen for the show, and I think it was over 200 deployments. It is unclear where the balloons are launched. Oh, okay. Well, I know that. And where the SO2 is from. Furthermore, it is not known if the company has been in contact with state, local, or federal air. Thus, EPA has submitted a demand for information to get answers. The agency is requesting response within 30 days. Sulfur dioxide has been regulated by the EPA since 1971 as part of the National Ambient Air Quality Standard Program. Sulfur dioxide can harm human health and the environment. Short-term exposure to SO2 can harm the human respiratory system and making breathing with pulmonary disease. Okay, so according to Make Sunsets, which is who I sat down with, you'll see the piece. They launch these balloons. They go up into the stratosphere, 66,000 feet, twice the height of an airplane, and they explode. And the point of sulfur dioxide, I mean, look, we interviewed them. I fact-checked some of the stuff they said to us. Some of the stuff doesn't seem to make sense. Some of the stuff does make sense. This guy basically came up with the idea by reading a sci-fi book. But there is some truth to all of this. Volcanoes erupt sulfur dioxide. When that happens, sulfur dioxide blocks the sun and, in theory, would cool the earth if the sun is blocked enough. There are supposedly data points that show when volcanoes erupt, the earth has cooled a little bit at certain times because of the sulfur dioxide in the air. I believe there's even a thought that highly polluted cities don't have as much warmth because the sun is blocked. Now, obviously, how do you want to die? You want to die from the air pollutants, or do you want to die from global warming? I think what my conclusion was with this piece, and the piece is not done, so we have 2 more interviews, and I will be a totally different person when I probably finish this thing, is that, and again, the reason I'm speaking about this, first of all, I can talk about whatever I want. This is a podcast. It makes no money. But secondly, this is why I wasn't able to do a podcast last week, because I was in Oakland shooting this thing, which, by the way, me flying to Oakland and flying back is probably way worse for the environment than one of these balloons. I think we're going to look back on air travel. We can't handle inconvenience. We can't handle if our life has to change because of climate change. All of this extreme weather is fucking us up, and we know it, and every region is dealing with it. I was just down in Austin. Think about the flooding of hill country. Think about there's flooding in Hawaii right now. Think about the extreme weather your region or your loved one's region has faced all through the whole world. That's all related to the lives we live. And we don't want to use a paper straw or stop using plastic or not flying to every bachelor party that ever comes up. The fact that we just book a flight, the fact that we just book it and go, and we have no thought about carbon footprint or whatever. I mean, I am no hero. I'm no hero. We need to have these discussions more and more. It's crazy. How do we get here? Here's how we got here. There is a thought that if the EPA is mad about a small company releasing a balloon, and I'm talking about it on the podcast, and we're shooting it on the Daily Show, and other people are bringing it up, that it's having and getting people to talk about the climate, the environment, and what we're doing to it. And maybe that's the whole point of quote unquote make sunsets. And the point of make sunsets, just so you know, is you can buy a cooling credit that goes into one of these balloons, and then they launch the balloon, and in theory, that blocks some of the sun. This would have to be done on such an enormous scale. But I think what it probably does for people is it gives the people that have bought in, and some people have, the idea that I am at least contributing something to trying to help somehow. How do we help with climate change? You know, ride your bike, don't use a plastic bag, water bottle. That's like the easiest one. When I had my first hosting week at the Daily Show, everybody got to pick like a thing they were passionate about. And I was like, this is the easiest fucking thing that we can all do. You have 9 reusable water bottles already in your cupboard. Why are you grabbing a plastic water bottle? Ever. It should be fucking banned, the whole thing. Also, recycling kind of is bullshit. Like it does not solve the Earth's problems. And it gives us all this false comfort that, I recycle. I'm going to put it in the thing, in the blue bin. Okay. So that's where I was. Something to think about. Sulfur dioxide in the air. Is that worth it's wild. Putting pollutants in the air to block the sun so the earth doesn't warm. Something to think about. So I was down in Austin. I was at MotherShip. We had 4 sold out shows. MotherShip obviously is the comedy club created by and owned by Joe Rogan. Shows sell out like crazy there. I almost felt weird posting that I had sold out the shows because the shows sell out a lot. Is it a Michael Kosta sellout? Is it a MotherShip sellout? Is it somewhere in both? Let's say it's both. And you know, there's a lot of interesting conversation there. There's been a lot of critique of MotherShip, in particular because of Joe Rogan's connection to it. There was a lot of clips that came out. I remember Questlove came out. Mark Maron came out saying it's the manosphere, saying if you make fun of gender, they laugh. If you prop up Trump, they laugh and clap. Saying, you know, this is like the Kill Tony, the roast battle. The best way I describe it, it's not alt comedy, right? Alt comedy is like coffee shop. Everybody thinks Janine Garofalo, even though she plays clubs now. David Cross. It's not that. It's more bro, man, podcaster, maybe. Is that the better word to use? I mean, keep in mind, the MotherShip has hundreds of comics that play there. You know, myself is one of them. I don't consider myself I think why, first of all, any club is allowed to be whatever it wants. It can be alt, it can be mainstream, it can be podcaster, it can be manosphere, it can be pro-women, it can be all those things. And every week can be different depending on who the headliner is. One thing I can say for certain is that this club treats the comics wonderfully, pays them wonderfully, houses them wonderfully. You feel protected from a both security standpoint, also artistically. There are 0 phones in the rooms. I mean, fuck. For every person who's critical of MotherShip, any other venue, I want to say, that's really great that you're critical of MotherShip. Why are there still phones sitting on the tables when performers are performing? They could be recording. They could be checking them. It's fucking awful. I had multiple people DM me super annoying things this weekend about MotherShip, saying like, hey, I want to come to your show and this is what I want. Hey, it's a bachelor party and I want you to do this. Like this, we get such stupid requests. And all I have to do is tell MotherShip and it's just taken care of. They're like, yeah, we don't do that. Yeah, yes, we'll advise. There was 0 issues with texting, 0 issues with a check. You don't have to drop a check. You don't understand, as a performer, lots of times they drop checks right as you're performing. Now people are arguing, how much do we tip? That's not what I paid. Wait, that's not my check. Blah, 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 blah. MotherShip handled brilliantly. Green room, great. Video recording. security walking you in and out. Just wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. They crush it. So many of the people in the staff came from the Comedy Store in LA. No surprise there. I understand where Questlove and Mark Maron are coming from when they make fun of the audiences at the Mothership. And I myself have had a few of those gripes, right? The Joe Rogan sphere. I always joked when he was at the Comedy Store, it was like a comic would say, hey, the moon, it's in the sky. And then the audience would go, fuck yeah, man, the moon is in the sky. It's like, it's not smart, but it's like they kind of think they're smart. And, you know, I was very surprised both last year and this year when I would criticize Trump on stage. I mean, it gets tight in there. They really feel uncomfortable. And here's why that blows my mind. This is fucking Austin, Texas. The whole point of Austin was it was this balancing act for the rest of Texas. And I will say, when you're at the Mothership, it doesn't always necessarily feel like you're in Austin, right? Now, I'll also say this. Austin's fucking changed. I said on stage, which nobody seemed to appreciate, keep Austin weird. Keep Austin weird. It seems like the only people trying to keep it weird are the homeless. Everybody else is fucking rich and tech. Rich tech, rich tech, rich tech. And there was even people that wore real cowboy hats in the audience. Isn't that wild? Like a real dude, like a real guy from Waco is wearing a cowboy hat. And then I'm like, yeah, Michael, people in Brooklyn wear fucking beanies all summer. That's probably what they're thinking. True. Great. This is why you travel. This is why you interact with other people. This is why you perform other places. But one of the things that I thought was most interesting, and this was based on this past experience and past experience from last year. There was an overwhelming narrative in the green room amongst the comics at the Mothership about, hey, stop doing activism comedy and just tell jokes and make the audience laugh. And that came up last year, and that came up this year as well. And I find it really interesting, and I think it's a really interesting conversation and debate because I can wrap my head around both of these situations. There was a time in my life where when I watched George Carlin, I said, stop George-splaining the world to me. I don't need your political opinion. I don't need your college professorial presentation. I'm not sure how much I've laughed yet. And there's a reason that Steve Martin came right after George Carlin. Arrow through the head, funny walk, funny face, ha, 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 right? I think comedy is multifaceted. I think you can have everything. I think where I stand now, this will not be a surprise for anybody, is I just think if you have the opportunity, and maybe this is what social media is for as opposed to a comedy club, I just think what is happening now, just kick the camera, good job, Michael. What is happening now is so fucked up, it needs to be talked about. Like, I remember when the Beastie Boys came out, was it Hello Nasty probably? Hello Nasty release date. Probably, yeah, 1998. Oh, it wasn't Hello Nasty. It was the one after that, which was, I used to know all of them. We had License to Ill, Paul's Boutique, Check Your Head, Hello Nasty, something part 2, Beastie Boys albums in order. License to Ill, Paul's Boutique, Ill, Check Your Head, Hello Nasty, To the Five Boroughs, 2004. The mix-up, yeah, that's right. The To the Five Boroughs was 2004, was kind of in response to 9/11. And there was a lot of, the Beastie Boys got a little more political over time. And I remember being a high school, college kid in Michigan thinking like, hey, man, I don't really need to hear about George Bush in your rap songs, And now as I'm older, as I'm 46 and I'm raising my own kids and I'm paying taxes and I'm paying attention, I'm like, why the fuck isn't everybody talking about this shit? So I get it. I get it. And there is a safe haven to be honored at a comedy club where, hey, I didn't come here to hear about this shit right now. I want to hear dick and fart jokes, which are always welcomed, almost always funny. And I will say, this weekend, I heard a lot of fucking funny dick and fart jokes. I don't say that as a negative. I say that as a funny positive. And I guess my question is, what is comedy supposed to be? Because so many comedians got put on pedestals as speaking truth to power, the Jon Stewarts, the Daily Shows, the George Carlins. It's the only one that can really, only people that can really tell the truth. This whole Saudi Arabia Comedy Festival is a huge, you know how I stand on this. This was a huge clash of, wait, do comedians have integrity and morals and caring about society? Then they shouldn't go do that. They shouldn't go be paid by the Saudi Arabian government. Or are we doing dick and fart jokes and everybody around the world gets to hear dick and fart jokes, or jokes about your wife, or jokes about salt and pepper, or whatever? It's an interesting conversation. Both times at the Mothership, I heard a lot of discussion about I don't think this is directed at me, but it's not directed at me. I am certain there are people that are critical of my comedy that would say, hey man, shut the fuck up about this for a second, which is very funny because for the most part, my stand-up comedy does not really go hard on politics. There's always a little, both sides. But I've had people come up to me after the show and say, why aren't you doing more politics? I remember there was a guy in Providence, Rhode Island. He was furious at me. He goes, hey, you're funny, but why didn't you talk more about the administration? He was really mad. He's like, he wanted the Daily Show's Michael Kosta to do stand-up comedy to him. Sure. Now, just so everybody knows, I try my hardest to make sure everyone knows when I do stand-up comedy with the clips I post, with the ads I take out, it isn't hardcore politics. Michael Kosta stand-up comedy, I do whatever the fuck I want. Sometimes it's politics. Mostly it's family or point of view stuff about the world. Anyways, interesting. I think, and keep in mind, the reason people are being critical of Mothership and the manosphere is because there's also the belief that the creative spaces, performance spaces, moved too far away from that group. And comics criticizing gender identity, there was an appetite for that. That's what I'm trying to say. There was an appetite for that. If you're mad that the Mothership feels manosphere, okay, that's your right to be mad. There is a strong appetite for that, and it's working. It's working, like it's selling tickets. That's the other thing. So, interesting conversation. I tend to, right now in my life, feel like in some capacity, you need to be talking about the current administration and what's happening. Now, if you don't want to talk about it in your 45 to 1 hour stand-up comedy set, okay, that's fine. I totally get it because you write what you want to write and, the Nate Bargatze of the world. But then I think if you're a public figure and if you have a voice, a platform, followers, you got to be speaking up about this shit, man. I hate it because some of these people are my friends, but I think it's soft to avoid it and make the financial decision that I'm making more money if I don't criticize the current administration. Because if they support the administration, they're certainly not posting that. But interesting conversation to be had. I want to reiterate the Mothership treated me wonderfully. We had excellent shows. I was working out this new hour. It was a great place to do that. I will reiterate to Mark Maron and Questlove, they did not like when I made fun of Donald Trump. And to their credit, we moved past it pretty quick, and then they were back on. It wasn't like when I was in Cleveland that one time and I made fun of the national anthem and these three guys could not give it up. They could not let it go. I will say the people at MotherShip understood what a joke was, and they don't have to care for that joke. That's their right. They don't have to laugh at that joke, but they didn't hold on to it forever, that then when I make fun of my kid, they're like, I'm not laughing. He made fun of Trump. And I will always be supportive of comedy clubs, especially new comedy clubs. MotherShip has been out for 3 years, jam-packed, a lot of money being You know what? If you want to be critical of the MotherShip, just keep in mind that place is pumping money into comedians' pockets so they can continue to do comedy. And if you're going, but wait, is there the counter to that? Is there the room that only books alti comics? Yes. Is there a room that only books super progressive comics? Yes. Is there a room that only books Christian comics? Yes. All of that shit exists. All of it. Is there a tour? Yes. All of that shit exists. I had a great time there. Thank you for supporting me, MotherShip. The staff is always wonderful. And look, as a comic, there's something really to be said. And here goes Safe Spacey. MotherShip may not like this. It's a safe space to perform comedy, right? I know we all make fun of safe spaces, and probably the manosphere of all would make fun of that term, but that's exactly what they've created. Great security, great support, great audio, video capabilities. 6th Street fucking sucks in Austin. I mean, I can't stand that street. Every time I'm there, it's like cops. There was just the shooting down the street. I hate 6th Street in Austin. I think Austin is just like Vegas, Texas, Vegas. But you walk through the doors there at MotherShip, and as a comedian, you feel protected, safe, and willing to do your art. That's all we want. That's all we want. I'm very happy. The new hour has got some big laughs in it. It's only going to get better. And I was more nervous for my show Friday night than I had been in 5 years of a comedian, maybe 10, because I have taken the old hour, shot it into special, being edited right now, and I am just trying to blank slate, and that is terrifying. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity to do 4 shows, get paid, treated well. Also staying, you just walk back and forth to where you're staying. So many of these fucking places put you up so far away, and there's no Ubers or whatever. So I had a great weekend there. And I do think it's an interesting conversation. What do we want from our comedy? What do we want? Just to laugh? Think? I love a comic who challenges society, makes you laugh. And those are very important, both of those. Not just to challenge society. And there is a place for just a laugh, but I just think right now in this time of America, to just go for the laugh, it feels naive, unaware, and a little bit reckless if you have any understanding of history and how this shit works with art and media and control from authoritarian rulers. There we go. I got to go get a haircut. Psst. So thank you for listening to the 1091 podcast. I'm Michael Kosta. I had a whole thing on Lake Travis. I don't understand it. I rented a motorcycle and drove all around hill country. Beautiful. There's a lot of douches in Austin, that's for sure. Where there's money, there's douche. But beautiful countryside. What we have done to the Colorado River as humans is insane. I mean, Lake Travis is basically a floodplain, a controlled floodplain for Texas, but it's really just the Colorado River. It is a lake. I swam in it. It's actually a reservoir. It's concrete and cement and rock. And I just got to say, I am a natural lake guy. Love a natural lake. I like natural boobs and I like natural lakes. And that's actually a good comparison. Swimming in a natural lake versus swimming in a reservoir is like holding natural breasts in your hand and fake breasts in your hand. Both will make you come. There's a dick joke. Folks, this is the Tennis Anyone podcast. Please leave a rating and a review. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Leave your comments below about politics and comedy. Very curious. Very, very curious. I can tell you right now, the brands are afraid of more political stuff. So what you're getting is all of your specials are going to be the people that are choosing not to do that. And that is something you have to realize, that when you're scrolling on the thumbnails, Netflix or, wherever you watch your stand-up, most of it's Netflix, they are feeling safer to not criticize the current administration. So now YouTube becomes a more trusted source, but even fucking Google's executive is in the White House giving him gifts and sucking his cock. So don't just think, oh, I'm picking the comedy that is funny because that's what I like. No, you're picking the comedy that's being available for you to click. And there are gatekeepers there that are saying, hey, don't ruffle the feathers. Don't rock the boat. And I think that sucks. I think if every time they give a special to somebody that isn't going to talk about politics or current administration, I think they should do the other side and do someone that does, or somebody in the middle that does a little bit. I just think it needs to be more balanced, and we need to understand that this is how rulers control public opinion. Even though they aren't saying, Donald Trump is not signing an executive order yet that says, I don't want my comedians to make fun of me. There's a feeling that these media companies are afraid of him and therefore won't support art that does. Final thoughts. I'm Michael Kosta. This is the Tennis Anyone podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Next road date, Stamford, Connecticut in April. More dates were posted. Kingston, New York, Maine, Northeast, Northampton, Mass. Love to see you there. Game, set, match. Kosta.